If you're thinking about starting a business this year, then you may want to check out some founder films. What do I mean by that? Well, founder films are movies that are made about someone starting a business. And so there's been a long run of them recently, as there have been some very popular businesses started like Facebook and Uber and Spotify. And so founder films can be such a great way to learn about what it is to start a business and to grow a startup and hear the stories of those that are behind some of the businesses that have emerged in the last decade or so with new technologies or changes in the way that we approach things. I'm Doc John, the EntreProfessor, and I've interviewed more than 50 real startup founders for this channel. And one of the questions I love to ask at the end of every interview is, what is your favorite founder film? In this video, I've compiled 10 responses from founders who've answered this question, and not just saying this is what my favorite founder film is, but they have shared why it is that they like that film so much, why it resonates so much with them, and why it relates to their experience. There is so much that you can learn from these short clips from 10 founders reflecting on what they see when they watch founder films. You're going to want to stay to the end because I'm going to share the top 3 things that I look for anytime I watch a founder film to really see the kind of experiences that you might have as a founder or the lessons that you can learn as a founder. So let's get into it.
But what is your favorite founder film, or what's your favorite story about a founder?
You know, I know you like to ask that question, so I've really thought about it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, founder films. So there is a founder film that really was important to me way back when, and it's the only one I can think of that's a founder film, and that would be, and I don't even know the name of it, but it was the original movie done about the creation of Apple. And it showed like Woz and Jobs in the garage with the wooden box that was the first PC, and they were, hell-bent on like, we're going to bring technology to the masses, right? Yeah. I forget the name of that film, but that definitely did touch me way back when. I think that film was 25 years old, 30 years old. The more recent founder film is a TV series that I call it a founder film because I think Ted Lasso was a founder, brought into a very unusual environment, operating at the lowest level, and let's create something almost out of nothing. Let's take a big swing here, right? Yeah. So I'm going to say Ted Lasso is my favorite modern founder film because you've got a real visionary leader, but that stuff he's doing, that's not just Hollywood. We do that stuff, and it matters. It matters what people believe, and it matters who you involve. And it's the best leadership training I think exists in the world is Ted Lasso.
I love it. Well, you've seen my channel that I love film, and I particularly love films about founders. Any favorite founder films for you?
Oh man, well, we were just talking about the Lamborghini. I think that one is a really cool story because it's kind of a hero's journey, someone that was looked down upon. I kind of relate to that because no one would really see me in the beginning of this journey as someone they were confident in, to create this whole business. I was a dancer, I was an influencer. Those things apparently weren't intermingled. So I love that story of Lamborghini and how he was just seen as like a farmer, a tractor trailer driver.
Tractor builder.
Yes, and how he took that and he made it into one of the most, luxurious brands in the world. That's a cool story for me.
What is your favorite founder film?
Yeah, there's a few I think out there in the world that are pretty common. I think the first one that comes to mind for me is, the actual movie, The Founder, the McDonald's movie with Ray Kroc, and the Steve Jobs movie is obviously a good one with Michael Fassbender. I think the thing that stood out to me, just thinking back on some of these movies, is obviously both like sort of visionary thinkers in their own way. Obviously, in The Founder, Ray Kroc doesn't create McDonald's, but he sort of takes a great model, systematizes it, builds in consistency, quality, and speed. And that was really important for the brand, so that if you have a McDonald's in Illinois, it tastes like the McDonald's in Tokyo, right? And I think that's just like a super cool vision to have. And as it relates to Steve Jobs, like he didn't invent the computer, the smartphone, yeah, or the smartphone. Like he built more of an ecosystem, um, and and he changed the way that people interact with all this technology, and built that repeatable system and experience for these folks. So they obviously both have this obsession over consistency and are perfectionists, and I think that I admire those traits. And I think of when we build product, like I love the passion that goes into creating great products the same way that they're passionate about their consistency and, down to the pixel or down to the amount of squirts that you have on a burger from, for mustard and ketchup. Like there's like a specific way to do it, and that they were maniacally obsessed with it. And I love that about those founders.
So, well, I always love to ask, and if you have one, do you have a favorite founder film? That's
well, yeah, you sent the list, and it just turned out I read most of them. I saw most of them, so I'll pick The Founder with Michael Keaton. I've seen it 3 times. When I first saw it, I was so excited that it was the first time I went to see a movie since Jurassic Park or something, and I remember like talking my brother into going with me, and then going to McDonald's afterwards and having my first like Big Mac in like 20 years. So it was really cool, and the whole concept of him struggling. So I think that's a universal: struggle, 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 succeed. And he certainly struggled before he was successful, and that makes for a great story. So I'll pick that one. But I liked them all. I enjoyed them all. But The Founder with Michael Keaton, the McDonald's story, is a great story.
Well, Angela, thanks so much for being here. Actually, before we go, I always like to ask, what is your favorite founder film?
I love Euro Dreams of Sushi. That is something that you introduced me to. And I just think it's fantastic. I recommend it all the time.
So, Jonathan, it was awesome having you here. Before we sign off, I always like to ask the same question. And in the first part of this, you had a really great answer. And so I'll ask again, do you have a second favorite founder film?
If I'm going to be really direct about it, I forget the name of it, but it was the one that's documenting Uber, the Uber story.
Super Pumped.
Super Pumped. Yeah.
7-part series, Travis and all the glory of Uber, right?
Very entertaining. It's also shot on the streets of my backyard here. So I recognize certain neighborhoods. But I was also trying to think of a more unusual, maybe distant interpretation of the question. Yeah. And I don't know, for some reason, the movie that came to mind was Cool Runnings.
Oh, I like that.
A movie from the 90s.
John Candy?
John Candy. The story is Jamaica, an island nation, competing in the Winter Olympics with a bobsled team. And, that was a founding effort from, a sport that no one knew about or no one did. And then I don't remember all the details of the movie, but there's definitely a startup story and some lessons, I'm sure, in that process.
MVP, they didn't have any snow. The MVP was like a toboggan with wheels strapped on the bottom. I mean, it was terrifying to watch.
Yeah, early prototype. You set the basics down to that early prototype.
Yeah, and they had good success. So that's.
They made it to the Olympics.
Yeah,
and I think. Well, I don't want to do a spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. But
you have a favorite founder film, and if so, what is it and why?
I do, and so it's Air. It's about the Nike story, and look, what I really love about it is that you're betting on people, right? You're trusting your gut, and you're pushing through to build something. Right. And I feel like the film really captured like all the emotions. It did a great job of taking you back, right, to that time when Nike was, trying to land Michael Jordan and launch the Air Jordans. So I feel like it's a great film. But I do have one more that I would like to mention if I can.
Of course.
So I also loved Motel Makeover, which was on Netflix, and it's about the June Motel. And so two women started buying up motels and revamping them, completely changing what it looked like. And what I thought they did a great job in the story arc there is that, you know, the roller coaster is real. Yeah. Right. And you really get that. But you also get the joy from getting it right. So those would be my two. So if you're not ready for a whole movie, you can pop into Netflix and, you know, see episode by episode.
I do a lot of, I do a whole series called Founders in Film, where I, you know, share little recaps about films that are focused on founders. And I'd be interested to know if you have a favorite founder film that highlights entrepreneurship, maybe also the arts. I'd just be interested if you had any that come to mind.
That's a good one. And I love so many things, but I have an unorthodox one I'll share with you is A Pursuit of Happyness. And that, you know, I count it as a founder film because that person was a non-traditional entrepreneur and they went on to like sell millions of their products. But at the time they were just hustling, trying to figure that out, right? Having one product and really no support. I mean, literally like nothing going on. They lost their home, they lost everything, and they still had their child with them. And so like, yeah, to go from that to the success at the end of the movie was, I just always watch it for inspiration. And nothing lifts me up more. I'm like, wow, they didn't have the LLC. They didn't have like half the stuff that we all are blessed to have, right? But they still figured it out.
Well, Paige, one last question before we sign off. I always like to ask, what is your favorite founder film? So do you have a favorite?
Oh my God, there's so many good ones out there. I don't even know where to start. So these might not be traditional choices, but I worked on Wall Street before I got into marketing. I think the original Wall Street movie with Michael Douglas is that's not a bad pick. It inspired me to go to Wall Street, but there's definitely an entrepreneur kind of story in there as well. And I think The Big Short and Moneyball, those were both Michael Lewis books turned into movies. I thought both of those had great entrepreneurial stories. I grew up in New Orleans. Michael Lewis did too. We went to the same high school. I'm a few years younger, but I think he's a great storyteller, and those were very compelling movies. I don't know, Joy, the woman that she did the mop that was easy to squeeze and get the water out. I thought that, you know, QVC and HSN, I thought that was a good one. Older movie. Oh, Devil Wears Prada. That's another good one.
A really good one. Yeah.
I think that was a good one. Baby Boom with Diane Keaton. Okay. I think that's a good, I mean, I think there's an Rocky. Oh my God. Rocky had an entrepreneurial streak. I mean, I think I could name 100 founder movies that would inspire me, and I'd watch them all over again and probably take out new nuggets from each and every one of them.
Some great choices. In fact, I've done shorts, kind of what I call my founder and film reviews for Wall Street, for Moneyball, for Joy. So several of the ones that you just mentioned there. Such great choices. It's awesome.
I'd like to ask about favorite founder films. Have you seen any new founder films, or have any favorites, new favorites?
You know, I'd forgotten about this question, and now I curse it because I should have remembered this. You know, any founder films. No, I've been building and working. I don't have time for films like this. Even on this flight here to Boston, this isn't like my time to watch movies and stuff.
Yeah,
I have grading to do, and so I graded the whole time here. So I'll have to think about that and tell you before the end of the weekend here what it is. But yeah, I can't think of a good founder film off the top of my head. You get me.
All right. Well, so maybe I'll share one that I'm kind of interested in right now. I've only just seen the first episode, but it's called The Playlist, and it's the founder story of Spotify.
Oh yeah.
And so it's subtitled. It's a Swedish film. You know, kind of it's following the founder, and so I haven't had a chance to get into it very deeply, but probably can depend on a founder film breakdown coming soon.
on that one. So there's maybe when you do kind of have the big release and you're ready to watch something, maybe that will be one to check.
Well, I've actually seen that. I've seen the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Well, you can tell me. So give me your breakdown.
It came out a couple of years ago. I remember watching it. There's I have kind of a personal connection to that. During my time at Techstars, we held an event in Torino, Italy. It was a Startup Week event, and Daniel Ek, the founder of Spotify, came and was one of the speakers. And I was fortunate enough to bring my son, who was, I think he was 15 or 16 at the time. And, to this day, he's like, Dad, you can never let the Spotify subscription run out. He loves it. And so I was able to take him backstage and introduce him to Daniel Ek. And I remember there was some delay in this. And this was going to be a 2-minute kind of meet and greet. We spent like 15 minutes with Daniel. He was the nicest guy ever. And I remember he and my son were getting into it. And he was asking about, the kind of musical taste my son had. And he was saying, he had just been at some party in Los Angeles with, some musician and things like that. And he and my son just hit it off. And he could not have been the nicer guy. He's not as portrayed as friendly as that in the film. But in real life, he is a wonderful guy.
These are some great examples of founder films, and it's really interesting to hear real startup founders sharing their stories and showing the lens that they see these films through and how it relates to their experience. Before you go, I want to share 3 top things that I look for every time I watch a founder film. First, I look for that moment of commitment. That point when the founder has a spark or just some kind of an event that triggers their desire to start something new. That point of no return when they decide to embrace the risk without any guarantees and they choose forward motion. If you're thinking about starting a business, this moment could be right in front of you. And what I would say is don't wait. Don't go to sleep tonight until you've made the decision to start your business. And it can be as simple as starting a new Google Drive and calling it My New Business and using that drive to collect documents or artifacts or ideas that you have, but just a decision to move forward. The second thing I always look for in a good founder film is the reality of the grind. Any startup requires a lot of repetition, the hard work, the iteration, the experiments that work or don't work, but really putting in the reps, doing the time, building the business one phone call at a time, one product attempt at a time, getting to know the customers, and doing the hard work of making it happen. There are no overnight successes in startup entrepreneurship, even though sometimes it can look that way. And I love it when films accurately show this reality of the grind. The third thing I always look for is growth through failure. If you're starting a new business, failure is inevitable. Learning will compound over time through these failures. When something doesn't work, you learn something you didn't know before, and you will try something different in the future, or you will build on the things that did work, recognizing where things can go wrong or where failures have informed your future decisions. This leads to better decisions. It also gives you an opportunity to practice resilience, because resilience is so often a competitive advantage as you get up and keep going even after things fail, when others might give up and go home and call it a day. I love founder films because they make the startup process and journey accessible to all of us. They show us the kind of grit and struggle that goes into building a successful business, and ultimately they inspire us to take that step forward and take a shot. And so I hope that this video and some of these stories from founders have helped to do that for you. If you're looking for some ideas for founder films and not sure where to start, be sure to check out my playlist called Founders in Film that has reviews and breakdowns of these kinds of stories that are depicted in films and series and other visual media that can help you to understand what the process looks like. The next time you're looking for a good movie, be sure to check out a founder film. Keep going.